Ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? By Dr. Doggerel, taking a bite out of crime, one rhyme at a time. Excuse me if I'm being rude, but ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? Yes, I know, it sounds quite lewd, but ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? Frankenfood is in the air, corn with nipples, fish with hair, Bosch-like creatures everywhere. Another DNA nightmare. Ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? Let me strike an attitude, since my body's being screwed by corn and soy no one should eat, by cow cloned something they call meat, by sheep with goat, a gleepy treat. Ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? What goes through these madmen's minds, these scientists turned Frankensteins? It is alive, you'll hear them scream as they stick fish genes into ice cream, or while away their busy hours perverting soy that poisons flowers, then and there to kill the bees with some DNA-linked cruel disease, making agriculture chancy, unless, of course, you plant their fancy and expensive Frankencrop that needs no bees to land on top. For millennia we adapted, eating foods that God had crafted, tested right for human tissue. Now genetics makes an issue of improving what the master's plan proved quite sustaining for a man. Frankenfood is perfect, fine. There's no need to pine and whine, just because the genes of fish are tucked into your favorite dish of tomato vegan baked surprise. The surprise is very well disguised. And be assured there is no need to show on labels that our greed has led us down this slippery slope. The advertising boys can't cope with how the public asks so rude, Ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? No, indeed, no need to know how we can make these plants to grow with special anti-freezing genes and genes that weirdly boost proteins, and the genes that make them not produce good seed for the next crop. Monsanto sure does need to make more dough next year for profit's sake. That's why the farmers get no seed. He'll be back to feed our greed. That's a promise, guaranteed. They don't remember what was lost in the prehistoric Holocaust that we call Noah's flood. For in those days, in the same ways, they polluted human blood. In olden days, in times before technology opened wide the door to the same genetic mystery, there was a time before our own when twisted DNA was sown by another source in history. The book of Jasher tells us straight that at a very early date, sons of men combined God's creatures, birds and beasts and human features, making sphinxes, minotaurs, griffins, fawns, and so much more. Which is why God washed earth clean, removing monsters from the scene. And though that history's past and gone, these clues still linger on and on to warn us all that we are liable when we choose to ignore the Bible and break God's laws by mixing kinds of crops, cows, people, crossing lines laid down by God for our protection till we choose to go in a new direction. But even setting God aside, we've gone insane to take this ride of making and then eating food unproved by evolution. Consider the polluted wishes created in their petri dishes, and then think twice before you sit down to eat this awful it, for which no decent name exists, for this food from sadomasochists. But wait, they say, forget these fears. Look at this mouse with human ears. Yes, we can grow new body parts, pigs with hands and human hearts that will transplant to human needy. Your revulsion is just being greedy. There are limits few to what they'll do, playing in this genetic stew. The consequences to our being and the natural world from which we're fleeing may well be catastrophic. Big money rides on these decisions. The FDA won't force revisions, on Monsanto-type despotics. So when you shop for every crop, ask, Ist das nicht ein Frankenfood? If every grocery store gets booed for their trashy Frankenfood, then Frankentrash will be removed to make the space greatly improved for healthy, organic, wholesome food.